Hey, what's up YouTube? You're watching Ready Set Drone, and today I want to take you through 12 accessories that I have been using to fly drones. Now, a lot of these apply to camera drones, but all of them apply to FPV drones, and that's more of the focus of this video. These are accessories that I have recently discovered to be very, very helpful, and hopefully they will be helpful for you as well, so stay tuned and we'll check them out. So if you're not already a subscriber, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and to hit the notification bell so you can get more videos about drones, drone accessories, and other cool RC stuff. Now, these are 12 things that I've been using to fly drones. Again, some of them apply to camera drones, but all of them apply to FPV drones, and they are very handy. They're things I've kind of collected over the last 2 years as I've been flying more and more FPV and realized that these are things that are almost essential to me now to be able to fly well. So let's get started. So the first thing is this Tenergy battery checker. This thing right here is something that I would say is probably the most useful thing of the entire batch of stuff I have. And what this does is it allows you to actually check the voltage on your battery before you fly. So you just plug your balance port from your LiPo battery in, and it gives you a reading on how much voltage is on the battery, what the percentage is, how much voltage per cell, whole bunch of different options that you can see on here. It doesn't require any power because it's powered off of the actual battery. And I will tell you, it is so nice to be able to fly and not have your battery die immediately because you're flying with a battery that only has 30 or 40% left on it, something you had used earlier but forgot to recharge. This thing has allowed me to always check right before I put it in, make sure I'm at a good level to fly, and it just saves a lot of time and frustration because strapping these things down to the back of a quadcopter takes a little time, getting it all lined up, getting all the cables out of the way of the propellers and everything like that. So I've really found this to be a super, super handy thing, and it's helped me to also be able to charge my batteries more efficiently and put my batteries into storage mode more efficiently because I know what they're at the end of my day of flying, so I'm able to get a better reading on what needs recharging, what should go into storage, and what should probably be cycled. So definitely recommend this little thing, and it's pretty cheap too. Now, sticking with the theme of batteries and battery charging, this has become my go-to charger. Not because it's particularly better than any other charger that I have, but because it can charge 2 batteries at once. That makes such a huge difference when you're flying FPV and using LiPos for airplanes or other boats, RC cars, and drones. You go through them fast, you need a lot of them. It takes a long time to charge all those batteries because it's sort of a trickle process to charge them. It isn't immediate. And so this allows you to charge 2 at one time. It has 2 slots down here for these breakout cables that allow you to plug different balance ports into them. You've got your 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, and 6S batteries. All of those can be plugged into it. And then you've got ports for different types of connectors. So you've got XT30, you've got XT60, you've got all these different connectors here that you can use, Dean's connector, and a whole bunch that if you have batteries for other things besides quadcopters or toy quadcopters, these are really handy to have, this breakout cable. This thing runs on a regular 110 outlet, at least the US version does. I'm sure you can get this version in Europe and other countries as well. My only downside to this guy is it's a little noisy. When you plug it in and you've got 2 batteries going, some fans come on, it starts cooling and it goes shh, you hear a pretty loud sound of the fans. But other than that, you can actually have a 4S going up here and a 2S going down here, or a 2S going like a 6S down here and a 3S up here. It does a good job with balancing. I don't know that it's the most accurate thing for, if you're like a professional racer and are really trying to tweak your batteries, this may not be the best. But for an average FPV pilot, someone who's just wanting to get out on a regular basis and doesn't want to wait a long time, doubling your ability to charge your batteries is huge. Most chargers only do 1 at a time. This one does 2, and that's why I recommend it. And while we're on the topic of batteries, I want to talk a minute about LiPo Safe Bags. Now, if you're flying camera drones or FPV quads, LiPo Safe Bags are essential. They're great to have for traveling. They're great to have for charging to make sure that you don't have a fire. It doesn't happen frequently, but it does happen, and it's something that you can avoid if you're using LiPo Safe Bags for storage as well as for charging. There are a whole bunch of them out there. They come in different sizes. I think my criteria is that they feel well sewn together. The material is thick and strong. Obviously, you want fire-resistant material. and that the Velcro on them, you know, the thing that's going to hold it shut, is really strong. This is one that I've used quite a bit. I've got a link to it down in the description. I've got about 10 of these, and I use them not only for FPV batteries. This is a lithium-ion battery, a long-range battery. I've got a couple of 4S batteries in here, a couple of 3S batteries in here. I also use them for DJI camera drone batteries. Like I'll put the Mavic 2 batteries in here. You can get 2 of them in, or the Mavic Air 2 batteries. You can get 3 or 4 in here if you cram them in there. They're also great for storage of other things, but I have enough batteries that I have to use all of mine for battery storage. Keep 4S batteries in one with an XT60, XT30, different types of connectors, etc. I highly recommend you get a bunch of these. They're pretty cheap, and they will save you hassles and headaches and make it safer for you to travel and fly with your drones and your batteries. All right, next on my list is this LowePro backpack. I have had one of these things for about 3 years now. I took it actually to Norway, and I took a Mavic Pro in it to Norway and traveled all around with it. It was great. Hiked up to Pulpit Rock with this on my back, and my Mavic Pro was really great to have and does a great job for DJI/camera drones. Now, you're not going to fit a Phantom in here, but you can see right now I've got a Mavic Air 2 in here. I've got 2 LiPo Safe bags with Mavic batteries in them, and then I've got the Mavic Air 2 controller, and then I've got the charger and some ND filters up here. And then in here you can keep other accessories. You could keep more batteries, you could keep lens wipes, you could keep all kinds of stuff that you might need. So it's a great travel companion for traveling with DJI drones. And this piece right here is reinforced and kind of hard, so you can actually close this up and know that the drone's going to be okay, because this is not soft. This is like got some rigid material in it that keeps it hard and keeps the drone protected. It's kind of molded around the outside. Now, it's not super strong, but it's strong enough that you could set something on top of it and not have to worry about smushing what's inside. The top part is actually soft. It also has these little straps that are available to put clips on or hang things from if you want to expand the capability of it. It has side pockets, and it has 2 top pockets up here as well, so that you can put, I've got a bag of accessories in here, but lots and lots of storage. Now, that was all the stuff with the DJI drone. This one over here, I have FPV stuff in. So I have the DJI digital FPV system, which includes the actual remote control right here, the goggles, LiPo Safe battery pack, LiPo batteries in here, and then this little zipper bag has all of my cables and antennas and stuff like that for the goggles. It's the same bag, so this will work with both FPV stuff as well as camera drone stuff. And I'll show you on this one here. I think I actually have in this one here, I have a little hard shell case that has a toothpick drone in it. So this has got this little guy in it, which fits in there nicely. This protects it and keeps it from getting squished, and this will fit right in this top pocket. So very versatile backpacks. I really like these. Like I said, I've had one of them for a few years now, and I got the second one this year when I've been flying more FPV, and so I'm able to keep a DJI camera drone ready to go in one and my FPV gear ready to go in the other. All right, so the next thing I highly recommend for FPV pilots, and really just in general, is the Insta360 Go camera. I was a big critic of this camera when it first came out. I have to say, I thought it was kind of silly because it could only record 1 minute of time. They've upped that to 5 minutes of recording time, but what you get from this is just a super small, very convenient little camera that has image stabilization built in, so even if you're on a drone flying around crazy, it keeps the image pretty stable and gives you amazing looking footage. It's got all kinds of cool accessories, like the little magnet that it sticks to that you can put wear under your shirt, so that if you wanted to have this kind of hanging here from your shirt, you could do it sideways or straight up, doesn't matter. It has a charging case that is magnetic. It's very well engineered and well thought out, the way this little thing goes together and the way the magnets work to hold it together. Now, what is the purpose of this for flying FPV? Well, Really, with most smaller FPV quads, you're not going to have a great camera, especially if it's an analog signal that you're getting, and it's going to be an analog recording, which looks kind of fuzzy and can have lots of breakup. With this, you can mount it right on top using a very simple, you can buy these online as well, very simple mounting, 3D printed mounting bracket where the little camera sits in there, the Velcro strap goes through and holds this thing on top of the quad or beneath the quad, and you're good to go. You have the ability to shoot high quality 1080p video on your analog or digital FPV quad and get lots of amazing footage. And then again, this thing just for running around and shooting B-roll of stuff, it's so small and so convenient. It's almost one of those things you want to have with you all the time. So the Insta360 Go is hugely recommended for flying FPV. And then while I have this out, I'm going to say the next thing, and that is these Velcro straps. Now, you say, why would you recommend Velcro straps? These are essential for two reasons. Number one, if you want to put an external camera on your quad, a lot of times you're going to use these to do it. Again, with this 3D printed mount for the Insta360 Go, it has a slot that the strap goes through and actually goes around the quad to hold it on. You can put it around the battery, you could put it around one of the arms as long as you don't run into the propellers, etc. But these are also what you use to hold your batteries on to most FPV drones. And what I recommend is get a variety of widths, a variety of lengths, a variety of styles. Some of these are rubberized, some of them are not. You'll find that there's kind of a use for all of them. And it's good to have lots of spares because these get lost, they get broken, they get cut by propellers, etc. I highly recommend getting yourself maybe 6 long ones and 6 shorter ones so that you'll have a variety when you're getting ready to fly. And they're super cheap. I don't particularly have any brand that I'm big on. These Apexes are pretty good. iFlight makes some. Lots of people make these things. And again, they're just something really handy to have when you're flying FPV. So while we're talking about cameras like the Insta360 Go, I want to mention something very important, and that is lens wipes. Whether you're flying a camera drone or a FPV drone, these are super, super handy, especially with FPV drones because they land in mud, they land in grass, they land in dirt, and when you can't see, you can't fly. So you're going to want to have these with you to wipe the lens off. You can also use these to wipe down the lens of the goggles. You can use these to wipe off your glasses. You can use them to clean your phone screen. You can use them for so many things. Anything that's glass or plastic, you can wipe these on them. And there's lots of different brands of these. They're pretty inexpensive, and we buy them in about 250 packs so that we have lots of them with us all the time. I keep them in the backpacks, and they're ready to go so that in case I crash into some mud or get some mud on the lens, I can wipe it off right away and keep flying. And speaking of landing in mud, landing in grass, it is pretty essential for both FPV and camera drone pilots to have one of these. This is a fold-up portable landing pad. This one is from RC Geek, but there's a whole bunch of different companies that make these, and they're pretty much all the same. This one has an orange side and a black side, and this one has 4 stakes that actually comes with it that allows you to stake it down into the ground. Now sometimes if the ground is too hard or you're flying on rock or cement or something, you can just use something heavy on the edge of this. I sometimes just put rocks on it, around it, but you don't want to hit those. But let me tell you, don't underestimate the importance of this. If you value your quadcopter or drone and you want to make sure that it doesn't get lots of dirt and sand and grit and grass in it, this is pretty essential to have. You can set it down on top of tall grass, you can set it on top of gravel, you can set it on the road. All of those things, it's going to protect your drone from getting stuff up in it. And if you're using a drone with GPS and a sensor on the bottom for automatic landing, it actually helps with accuracy because it has a very clear, distinct thing that the drone sensors can see and can land back on. So highly recommend one of these things. As a matter of fact, if you don't have anything else in this list, this would probably be the first thing I would get even before the battery checker so that you can protect your drones. And I'll also mention that they come in both weighted and unweighted. This one's unweighted, which again has these little stakes so you can drive it into the ground so it doesn't get blown away in the wind. But they have some that are a little bit heavier. But keep in mind, if you're carrying a bunch of stuff out to a field, sometimes heavier is not better. So either way, check out the link below and see. You can see all the ones that get recommended. Super easy to fold and unfold and put right back in here. And then it becomes very portable to put this in your backpack. And it will fit in that LowePro backpack, by the way. The next thing on my list is what's called an anemometer, which you may be wondering, what is an anemometer? Well, it's basically a wind reader. I got this one about a year ago when I did a video about wind and DJI drones. It allows you to measure the speed of the wind and also to do things like test airflow through, say, two buildings versus an area where there isn't a channel of wind coming out. Wind can change direction. It can also flow faster in certain areas within the same space. So if you're at a schoolyard and there's two buildings close together, you might have wind coming through. Good to measure those things, especially on windy days if you want to have more control over your drone, especially if you're flying a non-GPS drone. I highly recommend this for FPV flyers who are not using GPS because it'll really give you more information with things like tiny whoops and little tiny small drones that you're flying or ducted drones that are really susceptible to wind. This is really essential and I highly recommend it for flying with FPV. Okay, the next thing on the list is something that is a really kind of a luxury. It's a nice to have, not essential, but it is super cool. It's called the Wowstick, and it is a electric screwdriver that comes with all kinds of cool accessories, including a magnetic case that you put it in, a base that you can set it in just so you have it handy, and then it comes with every imaginable small type connector or bit that you could want. So this is just one tube of bits that came with it. This has, let's get them out. This has Phillips head, flathead, star, all kinds of stuff. And you basically just pull each one out, put it in here, and then forward, reverse. And it has an LED light. I don't know if you can see that, but it lights up, doesn't cause a shadow, because of the way it lights all the way around. You can actually see here the LED light is around in a circle. And one other quick thing to mention is that this actually charges via USB-C. So you just plug a USB-C cable into that, charge it up before you start working with it, and you're ready to go, and just leave it charged and ready to go anytime you need it. I think it's a great little tool. So I highly recommend the Wowstick. I've got a link in the description, and I think you can get different levels of it. You can get it with a whole bunch of bits and such, or with just the basic stuff. Depends on the price you want to pay. But the Wowstick, wow. The next thing on my list is this bag. It's called a doctor's bag because it kind of looks like the old-timey doctor bags that doctors used for house calls. It's also called a video bag. But what I use it for is putting all my FPV stuff in here, or all my drone stuff, or all my camera stuff. Right now I've got a tripod in the bottom of it. I've got the landing pad sits in it pretty well. This is a shotgun mic that I use for shooting out in the field. You can see this has a whole bunch of space. And what I like about this over a backpack is that it's actually very easy to get stuff in and out. You can open it, you can see everything. Very high quality material. So I use my backpacks for things like the goggles and the remote control and the batteries. And then I use this for things that are already in cases, so I can just throw them in there and carry it out to the site where I'm going to be flying. Really, really like it. It's a bit pricey, but it's super high quality. Everything on here is connected really well. I've had this one for about a year and have been using it pretty extensively for video shoots, as well as FPV flying, as well as camera drone flying. And very highly recommend as an all-around great utility bag. Most of the time I keep a few things in it, but then I empty it out when I get home and put these things back on the shelf to recharge or whatever. But it's great because it's easy to stick things that are already in cases into it. Very easy to find them. Highly recommend one of these for flying FPV, camera drones, or just going out and shooting video. And the final thing on my list is something that may seem obvious, but for flying FPV, it really is essential, and that is a good foldable chair. Now, the reason I say that is because if you try to fly FPV standing up and you're not used to it, or even if you are used to it, you tend to kind of wiggle around and lose your balance because you're so immersed in the experience. I find that sitting down is the best way to fly FPV. It gives you the most stability and you don't have to worry about leaning against something. Now, I have two chairs that I use. One that I got for my birthday last year, and it is built for comfort. It's a rocking chair. It's very solid. It's also big and pretty heavy, but it's the one I use if I can pull right up in my car and just pull it out and fly right there. If I need to hike down to a field or do any walking, I want something lighter, and I have this little blue one that I use for that situation. And I actually keep the little blue one in my car all the time because I never know when I'm going to need it. So I have two of them, the comfortable one and the lightweight one. The lightweight one is comfortable enough, but it's not something I'd want to sit on for hours at a time. And then the comfortable one is not super heavy, but it's not something you'd want to lug across a field if you have to walk several hundred yards to get to wherever you're flying. So those two are essential for FPV flying. So that's it. Hopefully there were some things in there that you hadn't thought of or you hadn't seen before, and you can buy them for yourself or you can give them to a drone pilot in your life. Either way, everyone's going to love them. These are great accessories. I own them all. I've flown with them all, and I really do recommend each and every one of them. If you haven't already subscribed to Ready Set Drone, please hit that subscribe button and comment below on other accessories that you like for flying FPV or camera drones. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Ready Set Drone.
Ready set drone, ready set drone. Spin up your props and plug in your phone. Fly with us and we'll think you will agree. Ready set drone, ready set drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with your friends will make you feel so free.